In a world more interconnected than ever before, we are unexpectedly affected by things that we cannot see and things we do not know. But there is a world beyond the public eye, a place that the media tells you to fear, a no-go zone. Follow Mike, a world traveler, bringing us to no-go zones stateside and abroad, a travel documentary series that breaks barriers. Mike goes to the places that others are afraid of, where no one else dares to go, to tell their story, the story the media forgets to tell you. See the other side of places like Baltimore, Southside Chicago, Opelika, Syria, and more at MikeNoGoZones.com or Mike NoGoZones on YouTube.
I know that at the end of my Seattle episode, I announced that Bogota would be my next destination. I was planning everything and even booked a flight and a hotel room. But then due to all the hospitals in Bogota being overwhelmed by the COVID pandemic, the whole city of Bogota went under lockdown. And when I say lockdown, I mean everything was going to be shut down. No restaurants, no hotels, curfews in effect. It would have made for a terrible episode, so that idea was quickly put to the side. I do plan on filming in Bogota one day in the future, so stay tuned. I haven't traveled internationally since my episode in Syria, and check out my adventures there if you haven't already. Being in this kind of business, I've made many contacts with others like myself, one of them being writer and world traveler Mark Zolo. His latest book is called My Life as a Mexican Pirate, and if you're into adventure travel, I totally recommend it. It's not for the faint of heart, so don't say I didn't warn you. We would converse and interact online quite often. He informed me of his desire to travel to Pakistan and Afghanistan, and I let him know that I was up for the challenge. His plan was to travel with his mates, Tom Much, a renowned journalist, and his friend Danny, to Pakistan and thoroughly explore that country, and then go to the Afghan embassy in Islamabad to pick up their visas for Afghanistan and to meet me in Kabul. Due to time constraints, I was going to skip Pakistan and just meet them in Afghanistan. My plan was to fly from Miami into Istanbul and then take a connecting flight to Kabul and then join the fellas. It was to be an international dream team of adventurers and world travelers. Now, does one just hop on a plane to Afghanistan? The answer is no. I first needed a visa, and for that I used the service passportsandvisas.com. They were very helpful in helping me with all the paperwork needed and expedited my passport back to me in a timely manner. While filling out my paperwork, I needed to get it notarized quickly, and I used a local notary, Andrea Gomez. If you're in the Miami area and you need any kind of notary, real estate, or legal services, this is the person to contact. So with my visa-approved passport in hand, and with a negative COVID test, I was ready to make my trip to Afghanistan. As we all know, Afghanistan makes the news quite often, and usually for all the wrong reasons. The country is actually quite diverse. It's made up of Pashtuns, Tajiks, Hazaras, Uzbeks, and a few other groups. The country is 99% Muslim, with the majority being Sunni, with a Hazara minority being mostly Shiite. But let's address the elephant in the room, the Taliban. They have been described as terrorists, extremists, religious zealots, and genocidal maniacs. All accurate descriptions. But peel back their so-called religious trappings and anti-Western rhetoric. What do you have? A criminal enterprise that operates no differently from the Mafia, MS-13, and the FARC. They make money from kidnappings, extortion, smuggling, and taxing the lucrative opium trade. High unemployment and a lack of good-paying jobs feeds the Taliban plenty of recruits. This map shows their territory of control. I also thought that it would be prudent to blend in as much as possible. I did this by growing out my beard and by purchasing a shalwar kameez. During my time in Kabul, I stayed at the Safi Landmark Hotel. I recommend this hotel. It has Wi-Fi, free breakfast, and a great staff that speaks English. I had a few days before my travel mates were going to arrive from Pakistan, so of course I did a little exploring on my own. If you happen to need a guide, I totally recommend Mahdi Ibrahimi. Our first stop was the Saki Shrine.
Wow, this is so impressive.
The artwork and the architecture were incredible. While Muslims of all sects pray here, it's especially venerated by the Shia minority.
Get a close-up of what's going on here. My guide told me that this is a very Persian style of artwork, and it is truly amazing to look at.
After that, I walked through the bird market of Kabul. I couldn't believe on how many birds were for sale. It's obvious that birds are pretty popular as pets, but also chickens for sale for food, and some birds are used for fighting.
Wow, these are beautiful.
We also hit up Chicken Street, which is the place for souvenir shopping. And if you're looking to buy authentic rugs, this is the place for it. While shopping, Mahdi took me to a very special store. This is the Bookseller of Kabul. It's owned by Shah Mohammad Rais, and he managed to keep his bookstore open during the Soviet and Taliban rule, which was no easy feat. His store is still up and running, and I suggest everyone who happens to visit Kabul to stop by here. Another thing that struck me about Kabul was the traffic and the scenery. The traffic was chaotic and hectic, but I also noticed that there were no Western chains to be seen. And I must admit that was unique to see. My guide was taking me to see the largest flag of Afghanistan, which is located on the top of the Wazir Akbar Khan Hill.
Check this out. This flag is this the biggest flag in Afghanistan? Yeah, this is the biggest flag of Afghanistan in the country, and we're walking right toward it. It's gonna be a nice scenic view. By the way, I'm here with Mahdi, one of the tour guides. You've been very good so far. I mean, the day has been really great. You've been excellent. I mean,
I hope.
No. You're done a great job. I'm very the food we ate, everything that we've seen, really good.
This flag was a gift from India. I was also told the sad story of the swimming pool located here. The pool was built during the Soviet occupation, but when the Taliban ruled over Kabul, they would execute people by pushing them off the diving board into an empty pool. Just one small example of their barbarism. Luckily, those days are gone, but I fear if the Taliban ever return to power, this could definitely happen again. On a positive note, the views from up here were incredible.
How many people live in Kabul about? 6 million.
After that, we had lunch at the Herat restaurant. And I must admit that the local food is really impressive. I'm a big fan of kebabs, and the bread all over Kabul is baked fresh daily. After lunch, I remarked to my guide that I saw plenty of men without beards and dressed in Western clothing. He implored to me that it was totally normal to be yourself. I thought that would be a good idea to get a shave at a local barber shop. In my opinion, it's a great way to mingle and interact with the locals. And here I am at Posh Barbershop getting an old school shave with a straight razor. After my tour was finished, I wanted to grab a snack, and I walked around my hotel and I came across the Open Eye Bakery. Great place to hang out and a friendly staff.
Okay, they have a party room up here. This is where you can come to smoke some shisha. The place is way bigger than I thought it was. And this is the family room. Okay. If you want to take your family out for a meal, this is where you can go. Very nice.
And later that night for dinner, I ate at the NFC restaurant. And again, I was pleasantly surprised on how good the food was. I would spend all of my evenings smoking hookah at the rooftop hookah lounge in my hotel called the Moroccan View. The next day, I got some disheartening news.
Yo, Mike, really bad news. Actually, the Afghans didn't give us our visa. They're looking for letters of no objection, but neither the Irish or the New Zealand embassies issue letters of no objection, and we told them that, we explained it. So they said they're going to refer the case to the ministry and contact us in 2 or 3 days to see if it's possible, but it's not looking good, mate. In the meantime, we will try and sort out something from home. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're contacting a few people in Dubai, the embassy there, or Photoshop is the option in 2 or 3 days. So worst case scenario, we don't go at all. Best case scenario, we'll probably arrive a day later than expected, maybe on a Saturday or something. But well, listen, I'll keep you updated.
The people that I was going to meet up with did not get their visas approved. I was stuck in Kabul on my own, and they couldn't get into Afghanistan. I was thinking I could go meet them in Pakistan, but being American, I needed a visa. So I went online and applied for one. And I did get a reply, but to get my visa approved, I have to go back for an interview back in the United States. That wasn't going to happen. So I was stuck on this side of the border while my mates were on the other side. And there was nothing we could do about it. So what to do? Well, I'm here in Kabul, so I might as well make the most of it and enjoy myself to the best of my abilities. If you want to check out what my friends are doing in Pakistan, please check out this Instagram page for some cool content. So the next day, I hired another guide, Shakib Mayar, and we spent the day at the National Museum and the Babur Gardens.
So it must have been from when Alexander the Great marched through here. It's pretty impressive. Pretty cool. Okay, we're in the world famous Babur Gardens. This is, it's pretty big here. Now, mind you, we are still in winter, so it's not as green and the leaves are all gone, but what can you do? It's that time of the year. During the summer, this would be amazing to look at. I know many people don't like to be on camera, so I always turn it away.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because especially if it's a couple, because they always say, oh, you know, my father's going to see the video, and, and he's going to, hey, they don't know that it's...
That's what they are asking from you.
Yeah.
Oh, why you bring me in camera, why my father's going to see this, my brother's going to see
Right, and they don't know I have a boyfriend, you know, all the...
And whatever they are hating. Well, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, even if they see this. It's what the culture is.
Yeah. In the West, it's the opposite. Be like, hey, everybody waves and goes crazy. Yeah, this is big, real big. It's definitely an oasis of peace and tranquility in the middle of a chaotic city where something's always popping down, but here we are. Here we go. This is inside the park still. Let me get a better view of it here. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, is the grave of Babur.
Come first. You wanna go in?
Sure.
Yeah, the rose bush.
Okay. Chance to go inside.
He was also instrumental in informing me about a clinic that does COVID tests, which I needed in order to leave and get on a plane. One thing that I need to address is the hospitality of the locals here. Everyone was cool, no issues. I never once hid the fact that I was American, so don't believe what mainstream media tells you. The following day, I needed to take care of changing my flight so that I can go to Istanbul earlier. So I had to go to the Turkish Airlines office in person, and then I went to the ZNN medical lab for my COVID test. It only cost $45, and I got my results the same day. If you find yourself in Kabul, I also recommend the following places to eat. Yummy Cafe, iCafe, which is a local version of Starbucks with Wi-Fi service, and my favorite place of all, Bukhara restaurant. This is the place to go to in Kabul. Great service, great kebabs. And again, at the end of the day, I would smoke my hookah at the hotel lounge. All right, it's one of the local soups here. I'm gonna dig in. They told me it's made with chicken and cheese and vegetables. Looks pretty good. Okay, they just brought out my kebabs. I ordered them with mutton. Looks really good. It smells amazing. So I'm gonna dig in. Well, I did as much damage as I could do. I definitely finished all the meats, but I could not finish all that bread. It was just too much, but it's really good. It's probably the best meal I had in Afghanistan since I arrived. And so I can finish off that shake, and I guess that's going to be a wrap. The next day, I was flying out to Istanbul, and it was time to say goodbye. I want to take time out to thank everyone in Kabul that helped me out, and especially the hotel staff at the Safi Landmark. I will be releasing a separate companion video from my experience in Istanbul, but I need to add what happened to me when I landed in Istanbul. I was walking around the Topkapi Palace, and when I got a Wi-Fi signal, I received the following message.
Yo Mike, it's Mark Solo here. So we moved our plans up. I'm actually going to fly out tomorrow morning from Istanbul. We actually just arrived, so we arrived earlier. We got plans later with some friends, but if you want to do lunch, get in touch. We're in Taksim.
I couldn't believe it. They also decided to depart early for Istanbul, and we're all in the same country at the same time. Unfortunately, Danny had to leave for Dubai, but we all met up at the Lost Pub in Istanbul. I couldn't believe it. We were finally together after everything. After being separated by international borders and visa rejections, we definitely all had plenty of stories to tell each other. We spent the rest of the night together sampling the Istanbul nightlife. But back to my final thoughts on Afghanistan. It's definitely a country that has been scarred by a tragic past. And as long as the Taliban are still active, there will never be peace there. I hope that one day that this country finds the peace that it deserves. The people there have good hearts and deserve to have their lives undisturbed by the specter of terrorism or of foreign interventions. Hopefully that day will come in my lifetime. My parting words are this. Tashakkur mikunam, Afghanistan Zindabad. I'll be releasing a bonus video of my brief time in Istanbul, so stay tuned. I also want to thank the following people and businesses. Please like and subscribe.